Flow is the secret to engage your learning community. Because unlike the traditional education system, you don't want to have your learners be bored or overwhelmed. And that is why we optimize for flow, where things are challenging, but not overwhelming. And this is the research from Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who wrote Flow, and then continued by Stephen Kotler and Jamie Wheal, Stealing Fire. And in this video, we're going to cover the 3 key flow triggers that you can use to engage your community and not just achieve individual flow, but group flow that feels ecstatic. Let's start with the first trigger, which is challenge. In order to challenge our learners, we need to give them something to do that isn't too hard and it isn't too easy. Because if it's too hard, then they're overwhelmed and they're not even going to try it. But if it's too easy, then they're getting bored and they're not going to continue that. So that is why we want to be right between this sweet spot of overwhelm and boredom. And that's where we unlock this flow state. And this is roughly by going 4% above their current capacity. Let's take archery as an example. So if they are always hitting their targets, then you need to put the target further away so it becomes more challenging and they actually miss sometimes. But if they then miss too often, then you can make it easier again by moving the target closer, and then they can hit their shots again. So this way, we always want to think about how can we personalize the experience of our learners. And this is where the qualification comes in. We need to understand where our students currently are, what their current skill levels are, so we can give them the next step that will challenge them. So they're not being too overwhelmed by trying to do too many things, but they're also not bored by covering the basics for the 100th time. But how can we apply this to a whole community where everyone is at a different skill level? Isn't that the problem of traditional education, where half of the learners are overwhelmed and the other half are bored? And this gets us to our next flow trigger, which is having shared goals. And by having challenges that are easy, medium, and hard, but ultimately contribute towards the same shared goals, everyone feels like they are playing this game together. If everyone in your community is contributing towards a shared goal, then it feels like everyone is just pulling together. And this ties then perfectly into the third flow trigger, which is giving instant feedback. Because now we can just make sure that the advanced people help the beginners and the expert help the advanced. And the experts are generally at the top of their game, so they are also sharing what works with themselves. Their value is just generally being at the front, brainstorming and thinking about the most effective strategies, and then just synthesizing it down. And this way, everyone gets feedback, and we can all grow together as a community. And this is how we generally get the most engagement, by just thinking about how can we make sure that everyone is being challenged, so no one feels overwhelmed or bored, having a shared goal that we can all work together and contribute towards, and then installing this feedback system where the expert people help the beginners and the experts generally think about what is the next step, what is the most important thing, while the beginners are slowly moving up this skill and eventually become experts themselves. And that is how we can all be one community, where we enter this state of group flow, where we all work together. We understand where we are, we know where we want to go, and we help each other along the way. And if we all do that, then this is just a community that continues to engage without a guru being at the top. It's then all about empowering the experts and making sure that they are the ones synthesizing their knowledge down to the beginners and making sure that the beginners are not being overwhelmed or bored, and just giving them the next step that they need to do in order to achieve this shared goal. If we achieve all of this, it really feels like we have stolen the fire from the gods, which is what stealing fire is all about. And this is what you can do in order to really dive even deeper in the concept on ultimately unlocking this ecstatic state where we feel our best and perform our best as a group, as one community that is fully engaged and ready to tackle whatever challenges, because everyone works together on a shared goal. And that is how we can all enjoy the journey while playing this game together.